Whispering Pines Cemetery sits on the edge of a forgotten American town. Its iron gates rusted and choked with ivy. The air here is thick, heavy with the scent of damp earth and something older, something that clings to your skin like regret. Locals avoid it, whispering of spirits that linger among the pines, their voices carried on the wind. They say the cemetery is cursed, that it watches, judges, and punishes those who disturb its sacred ground. Over decades, 3 souls crossed its threshold, each marked by an encounter they'd never forget. Each found the same object, a silver key, its surface etched with symbols that seemed to shift when you looked too long. A relic of the dead? A lure for the damned? These are their stories, bound by the restless heart of Whispering Pines. It was October 2020, the kind of night where the moon hangs low and the air bites your lungs. Michael and I, barely 18 and buzzing with reckless courage, scaled the creaking gates of Whispering Pines. The cemetery was a labyrinth of crumbling headstones, their inscriptions worn smooth by time. Twisted pines loomed overhead, their needles whispering secrets as the wind slithered through. We'd heard the stories, ghosts, curses, shadows that moved, but we wanted a thrill, a tale to boast about. Instead, we found something that still haunts my nightmares. Our boots crunched on wet leaves as we ventured deeper, flashlights cutting through the fog. The silence was suffocating, broken only by distant owl calls, or so we thought. Then a sound pierced the quiet, a child's laugh, high and gleeful, echoing from nowhere and everywhere. My heart stuttered. "What the hell was that?" I whispered, my breath clouding in the chill. Michael forced a grin, his voice unsteady. "Some kid's toy, probably. People dump weird stuff in old places like this." But his eyes darted to the shadows, betraying his bravado. A laughter grew louder, closer, as if it danced just beyond our sight. We followed a narrow path, barely visible under tangled weeds, to the oldest part of the cemetery. The graves here were ancient, sunken mounds crowned with moss. At the path's end stood a stone angel, its wings chipped, its face bowed in eternal prayer. Its eyes, though carved, seemed to glint with awareness. Beside it, on a cracked headstone, sat a mechanical toy, a clown, its paint flaking, its red eyes glowing like embers. It giggled, a tinny, relentless sound that clawed at my nerves. "Who leaves this here?" Michael muttered, stepping closer. The clown's head snapped toward him, its laughter stopping so abruptly the silence felt like a scream. My skin prickled. "Don't touch it," I hissed, but he was already reaching out. The air thickened, heavy as a storm. The shadows stretched, unnatural and sharp. The angel statue, had it moved? Its head was tilted now, its stone gaze fixed on us. The wind died, and the world felt frozen, as if time itself held its breath. The clown's eyes flared brighter, and a low hum pulsed through the ground, like a heartbeat from the earth. My chest tightened. "We need to go," I said, my voice barely a whisper. Michael nodded, his face pale as bone. We stumbled back through the graves, the laughter erupting again, chasing us like a predator. Thorns snagged my jacket, and I tripped, my hand landing on something cold. A silver key, half buried in the dirt, its carvings shimmering under the moonlight. I shoved it in my pocket and ran, the gate's rusty squeal our only salvation. We never spoke of that night, but the key sits locked in a drawer. Sometimes I hear it scrape against the wood, as if trying to escape, and the laughter, it echoes in my dreams, always just behind me. In 2015, Emily and James, high school seniors hungry for adventure, slipped into Whispering Pines under a shroud of mist. The cemetery was steeped in legends. Ethan, a boy killed in a car crash, whose ghost haunted his grave, and Mrs. Clara, a recluse from the 1800s, rumored to be a witch who cursed trespassers. The air was damp, the fog curling like fingers around the headstones. Their flashlights flickered, as if the darkness resisted their intrusion. They found Ethan's grave first, a modest stone etched with his name and a date, 1998. "He went to our school," James said, his voice hushed. "They say he watches the road where he died, waiting." Emily shivered, imagining a figure in the fog, its eyes hollow. Deeper in, they reached Clara's tomb, a towering slab carved with vines that seemed to writhe in the dim light. The townsfolk claimed her spirit guarded the cemetery, her wrath a cold blade for those who disrespected the dead. As they neared a grand mausoleum, a faint glow leaked from its cracked door. Curiosity battled fear, and they crept closer. Inside, an old man sat hunched over a notebook, scribbling by the wavering light of a candle. "Who's there?" Emily called, her voice trembling. The man looked up, his face kind but etched with deep lines. "I'm Henry," he said, "a historian. I chronicle the lives buried here." His voice was warm, his stories vivid. Tales of forgotten families, their joys and tragedies carved in stone. Emily and James listened, captivated, the mausoleum's chill seeping into their bones. But something was wrong. James noticed it first, his eyes narrowing as Henry stood to leave. A glint of metal fell from the man's coat, a silver key, its strange carvings catching the candlelight. Then gemstones followed, sparkling like stolen stars on the stone floor. Emily's blood froze. "You're not studying them," she whispered, her voice sharp with realization. "You're robbing them." Henry's smile twisted, his eyes cold as the grave. "The dead don't need their treasures," he said, slipping into the fog. The mausoleum seemed to groan, its shadows coiling like serpents. The air grew heavy, the pines outside whispering accusations. Emily grabbed the key, its weight unnatural, and they fled, reporting Henry to the police, but the damage was done. Whispering Pines felt violated, its spirits restless. Emily kept the key, haunted by the thought that Clara's curse now clung to her. At night, she hears footsteps outside her window, too soft to be human. William, now 70, was the caretaker of Whispering Pines in the 1990s, his days spent tending graves under the watchful pines. The cemetery drew trouble, kids sneaking in to drink, vandals carving their names into stone. But one night in 1993 scarred him forever. William lived steps from the gates, his nights filled with the cemetery's eerie quiet. He'd seen odd things, lights flickering where no one walked, voices murmuring in the wind. Yet nothing prepared him for that October evening. As he locked the gates, cruel laughter echoed from the chapel area, mocking, predatory. William crept closer, his lantern casting trembling shadows. Through the trees, he saw 3 teenagers dragging a man across the graves. It was Tom, a homeless veteran, his face kind but worn by hardship. The kids had drugged him, his eyes glassy with terror as he stumbled. They were digging a shallow grave, their shovels striking the earth with sickening thuds. "No one'll find him here," one sneered, his voice dripping with malice. Tom's weak pleas were drowned by their jeers. William hid behind a tree, his heart pounding so loud he feared they'd hear it. The air grew thick, the pines whispering as if the cemetery itself stirred. The shadows seemed to pulse, the graves watching. William wanted to act, to scream, but fear rooted him in place. The shovel's rhythm was a death knell, each strike tightening the knot in his chest. Tom's struggles weakened, his breaths ragged. Then a miracle, or something darker. Police sirens wailed, their blue lights slicing through the fog. The teens froze, then scattered like roaches, leaving Tom trembling beside the open pit. Officers pulled him to safety, his eyes wide with gratitude and horror. As they led him away, William saw it, a silver key, half buried near the grave, its carvings glowing faintly, as if lit from within. He never told anyone, but he knew Whispering Pines had acted. The cemetery wasn't just haunted, it was alive, its will as unyielding as the earth. William still sees Tom's face, the pit that could have been his tomb. The key he found that night is hidden in his attic, but sometimes the floorboards creak and he feels its presence. Whispering Pines keeps its secrets, but it never forgets those who violate its peace.